Well, it's time now for perspective. For 8 years now, French troops have been working with soldiers across Chad, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to tackle the threat posed by Islamist insurgencies in the region. This Monday marks the start of the latest Sahel summit in Chad. French President Emmanuel Macron will be attending remotely and is expected to place an emphasis on the importance of political and diplomatic efforts to confront the region's instability, after a focus last year on bolstering military assistance. Well, my guest today is Jerome Pigné, researcher and Sahel expert at the Thomas More Institute. Thank you very much for being with us here on France 24 today. Now, leaders of the G5 Sahel group are meeting today in the Chadian capital. What are going to be the main priorities of this year's summit?
Well, I believe that there are many priorities today. First of all is what is the assessment of the military cooperation in the region within the different the Sahel countries, and the bigger cooperation with France. And I believe there are some important results in terms of military and security aspects in the region, but you also have to tackle the different political and diplomatic and humanitarian aspect of the situation and the equation of the Sahel. So today is the annual summit of the G5, and the presidency is going from Mauritania to Chad, and it's very important to see what will go beyond the summit in terms of leadership and in terms of military and political cooperation in the region.
So what then, in your opinion, are the largest political hurdles that need to be overcome here?
I think it's the summit is also for France, and the President Macron is a way to tackle global issues in terms, especially in terms of how the European countries will gather to better support the countries in the region. It's very important to see the different level and different aspect of the equation, especially how the EU could sustain the efforts in terms of political, diplomatic, and humanitarian issues in the region. It's very important to see that France has, for almost 10 years, has struggled to bring European partners and allies in the Sahel region, and that's a tough challenge for France. And the other challenge today is how the G5 countries will be able to have that political leadership and military results and gain on the field.
Now, last year's summit resulted in 600 extra French soldiers being sent to the region, bringing the total number of French soldiers in the Sahel to over 5,000. But we're not expecting to see similar commitments this year around.
I think now it goes the other way around, because last year, as you said, in the summit in France, in Pau, the French government decided to add those 600 soldiers on the ground. But now I think it's a very it's a political and diplomatic way for Emmanuel Macron to say to its partners on the ground to make sure that they bring their own boots on the ground. But I don't think that we will see more French soldiers to come in the Operation Barkhane. And the withdrawal of this 600 military, I think it was a way to make sure that people will very focus on how we have a sort of local leadership. But I don't think we will either go for a withdrawal right now, either to complementary French armies on the ground.
Now, you referenced it a little earlier on. The French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian has said the issue of development is going to be key going forward. What exactly does he have in mind in terms of concrete plans when it comes to international development for the region?
I think the French minister talk about development, but it's more broadly about governance and political leadership. We have to bear in mind that in last August there was a military coup in Mali. We have to bear in mind that there are election, very often contested election in the region. And France could do whatever it wants on the military and security point of view. But there also have to be big efforts in terms of political and governance issues, because today the context in which happens that annual summit is that more than 30 millions of people in the Sahel are in urgent in situation. More than 2 million of people are displaced or refugees, especially in Mali and in Burkina Faso. So it's a way for France to put the emphasis on what comes next. It's not only about military and security issues. It's a broader political perspective that needs to be implemented in the G5 countries.
Now, 6 UN peacekeepers have been killed in Mali this year alone. France has lost 5 soldiers since December. Where, in your opinion, is the greatest threat coming from now, and where will the greatest threat be coming from in the months and years to come?
In one way, the threat is that the resilience of the jihadist groups, because they have some positive results and outcomes of the cooperation between Barkhane and the G5 forces on the ground. But the problem is that the jihadist groups, they have this capacity to go from one country to another. They have this capacity to recruit within population because of their local grievances, because of their daily living. And the big challenge, these are actual consequences, but you have to tackle the origins of the problem. And the problem is about governance, it's about daily living, it's about this emergency situation, it's about social justice. And this is where we have to step further, because military and the security situation is just the consequences of all that equation.
Jerome Pigné, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave it there. Jerome Pigné, a researcher and Sahel expert at the Thomas More Institute. Thank you very much. A reminder now of our top headlines today. Myanmar's military leaders extend the detention of deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi. That as her supporters take to the streets once again in defiance of a growing crackdown by the army, with internet access cut off overnight and extra troops deployed across the country. And pro-independence parties in Catalonia boost their parliamentary majority in regional elections. 3 separatist parties together claiming 74 of the 135 seats up for grabs, but the pro-union socialists secure the largest share of votes. And Guinea confirms 7 new cases of Ebola. The infections marking the first return of the deadly virus to West Africa since an epidemic was brought under control 5 years ago.